Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for being here today with me. Thank you for clicking on the video. Today I am so excited to get into it. We are filming the palette tag, which has been going around YouTube right now, and for the first time ever I have an active YouTube channel while a tag is being made and going around. So I wanted to take part in it, plain and simple. Eyeshadow palettes are my favorite thing to own for makeup purposes, so I have a lot and I have a lot of stories with them, so I thought this tag was perfect to do. I have my little notebook in front of me with all of the palettes and I have them sitting behind me on the floor as I will show you them and everything. So I think without further ado and all my run-on sentences and no breath in between, let's get started. Also, I will have all the questions listed down below and all the palettes down below if you were wanting to look into any of them or do this tag for yourself. One other thing, the sweatshirt that I am wearing, if you are curious, is from Archives From by Cameron Boyce, and I'll have that link down below. It says, "Tell me I'm a person, not a label." So if you want to go get one of these awesome sweatshirts or sweatpants or socks they have, link will be down below. First question is show your newest palette, and for me that would be this little guy right here, the Glamlite Street Taco palette. I have 2 videos on my channel now for this little palette. It just blows me away every single time. I love the color story in here. I have a whole review on it and I gave it raving reviews, flying colors. I don't know what I was about trying to say there. I love this lime green right here. I love the shimmers. This really stole my heart. It's kind of like a duochrome when you put it on your lid or swatch it. The pigmentation is wonderful. I can't recommend this palette enough, but this is my newest purchase because I've been just trying so hard not to buy any more palettes. So this was bought at least a month and a half ago, I think, at this point, so that's pretty good on me that I haven't bought anything else after that. Second question is show your oldest palette. Well, so she's gonna be really shiny, but here she is. This is from Stila. I'm gonna be real, I don't know which one it is, because this is what the back looks like. She's been through it. This is my oldest palette, I think. I mean, I think I used maybe like some CoverGirl ones back in the day when I didn't have any of my own makeup and they were my mom's, but this was like my first little purchase that I was so excited for. She was way too expensive for me at the time, but I bought her anyways. And guys, I don't think you're ready to see this. Here she is in all her glory. Spoiler alert, she comes into play later for another question, but she has seen better days. I used this palette every single day. I think in high school, I think that's when I purchased this. And this was obviously like my base shade for my lid. This was my eyebrow shade. This was always like the transition shade, or I'd usually just wear that all over my lid. The black, again, was added for depth in my eye look or whatever I was trying to do. I think I used this for my brows too at a certain point when my hair was purple and I drew in my eyebrows black. I don't remember all the rest of the shades, but I think they know they were a lot of metallics, but they fell out basically, but they looked exactly like this, but they fell out over time. I think this is either Body or Soul is the name of this palette. I know if you Googled the palettes, you'd be able to match up which one this is, but luckily enough, I do have a Milani palette that is an exact replica and dupe of this. But something in me just wants this palette again. I found it at TJ Maxx one time and I didn't buy it, and then I could never find it again. And I'm very sad I didn't buy it on that time that I found it, but she performs beautifully. She is definitely my oldest palette that I have still with me, and I love her a lot. Third question is your most expensive palette, and that by far is this sucker right here. This is the Conspiracy palette by Jeffree Star, ex Shane Dawson. This guy, wasn't he like $52, $48? I don't know, but here she is in all her glory. Whew. I'm not gonna go too much into it in this video, but I've had some feelings on this palette and everything with this lately. But let's talk about the positives while we're here. This is like one of my favorite shades ever. Sorry, you can see my wall. I'm trying not to. This is the shade Ranch. She's a beautiful, beautiful white icy shimmer. I love her for the inner corner or all over the lid. You can even use her as a highlighter. Tannicon is a really good crease shade. Same with Diet Root Beer. I wore this shade on my birthday, which is Trisha. I think I used a little bit of Pigment as well. And this guy is okay. He's not as highlighty as I want him to be. But, you know, but this palette has its ups and downs, that's for sure. Yeah. And that's that on that for right now. Question number 4 is your most affordable palette, and a lot of people have been saying this little guy right here from e.l.f. But while I was going through my palettes, I remembered that I have this guy from LA Colors. He says $2 on there, and he was $2, but when I bought him, I got him for 80 cents because it was on Christmas clearance. Now, this palette is pretty good for the most part. Not super duper pigmented, but hey, for $2, honestly, it gets the job done. If you would like a warm eye look, it has some good like base shades for the lid. If you're pale like me, I don't know how this would look on every skin tone by any means. Let me hold it with this hand now, but it's okay, and I'm glad I only paid 80 cents for it. But I will say the pans love to pop out. I'm surprised this one has not broken yet. The amount of palettes I had to just put in the back for somebody to take care of, because just they would all pop out and bounce around, and there was a lot over the Christmas season. I also, from LA Colors, have a bunch of these little guys. These guys are supposed to pop in there, and I believe this whole set was $3 as well for all of these shades. These are a bunch of pinks and stuff, and this little compartment which they pop out and you can put in, which is kind of cool. So that is my most affordable palette. But I don't know what it is like to get those year round. I know the dollar store will have like 3 pans and stuff like that. So LA Colors is around most of the year. But the best deal, I think, is that 12 pan palette for $2. Question number 5 is your everyday palette. And a lot of people have been answering kind of the same way, is that don't really have an everyday palette. I'm constantly playing around with all of my makeup, so I don't really have anything right now, and I'm also in a weird routine right now, so that too. But if I would have to say the palette that I'm gravitating the most lately is the Glamlite Street Taco, because, geez, I can do a colorful look, I could just do this on the lid, and I can do a neutral look in it, and I've done all of those things in the past weeks. So this would be my, like, everyday palette right now, which I know is weird since it's so colorful. But if we're going for like the literal sense of like what I really could use every day, and I did for the majority of last year, it would be this guy right here, which I think I've shown it on my channel before, but this is my Morphe x James Charles palette, but I covered the front with Shawn Mendes. I just didn't want to see his name on the front anymore, and the poster fit. So anyways, she has been through a lot. I have hit pan up here, which I just saw the names the other day. I don't remember any of the names. Well, I remember some, but I don't remember that one. But anyways, this palette I use pretty much every single day of at least mid and early 2019. And I do really love this palette. I love the formulation. I can get so many looks out of this one. I'm actually almost close to hitting pan on this green, weirdly enough, but I've done a lot of green Frankenstein looks. So that, I think, would be my everyday. Question number 6 is your most colorful palette, and well, guess what? That goes, oh my goodness, once again to Mr. James Charles X Morphe palette. Unleash your inner artist? Unleash. Do not unleash. I don't think that's a word. Anyways, I would say that she is just your colorful, classic, oh my gosh, palette. Jeez Louise, I can't say anything right now. I think she wins for the most colorful because she's technically the rainbow, but I do have another one. I'm a little afraid to open her because I did the other day and she crumbled everywhere. But this is the Take Me to Brazil. There's a difference, from BH Cosmetics. And she's seen some better days as well. She's crumbling. This guy broke upon receiving it years ago. This is also a very old palette. That just completely broke. This guy I took out for, which you will see it, I think, in the next one. I did like a custom little palette, and I took out her, and I took out, no, this guy I think just fell out. I don't know where he went. And this guy I think I took out for that palette. But this blue I used all the time when I had blue hair, that exact color, so that was really good for my eyebrows. I love this palette. It doesn't get enough love for me. Like, some of the shades are hit or miss, but like for the longest time, this was like my only purple that I own. So I think it's a really good palette. I think there's a good balance between mattes and shimmers. And yeah, she's a little dirty. Question number 7 is your smallest palette. And again, I think a lot of people would answer this one from e.l.f., this is in the shade Rosewater, in case you're wondering, and it's just okay. I think because they're so pale and stuff, I haven't found a good way to work with them. Anyways, I really want like the neutral browns one. I need to play with that one, or well, get it, I guess. But I think my tiniest palette has to go to this guy from The Balm, which this is the Total Package pocket-sized palette. And so here's the thing, she's had cosmetic surgery. This was supposed to include lip and cheek creams, shadows, and liners, and a bronzer and a blush, which that is on this side, which so stinking cute. And I love these two shades. This is the shade Yes Dear and I Got You. I didn't change that side, but this side, oh geez. Well, listen, when I got this like a month and a half ago or whatever, everything in it just felt like this product had been sitting for a long time in their warehouse. I couldn't get any of the shadows to work. Not with a brush, not with my finger. Also, it was very hard to get my finger into the pan size, which I will show you in a second. The liners literally fell out, like they crumbled and fell out. So I was like, okay. And the lip products were it was so moisturizing that it just made the pan all wet. It wasn't a good look. So I decided to, instead of trying to return it and mess with all of that stuff, let me just depot it and make my own custom little palette, because the bronzer blush side is really cute. So she doesn't look pretty. Okay, I'm just gonna warn you right now. But here she is. This is my little baby palette. Like, look, this is the size of my hand. And here is the palette. So small. What, like, even compared to the e.l.f., that is the size. Oh, hi. Yeah, she's not the prettiest to repress or like to look at because of my repressing, but it doesn't matter. The names don't mean anything because that's what they were in the pan. Like, these 3 down here are supposed to be the lip products, those 2 were the liners, and those 4 were the shadows. But so I've placed just colors that if I was traveling, these are what I would reach for. I got like my base shade, an icy white, a black, like a gold, a good transition color, and of course your pinks and a darker pink if I wanted to do a pink look. So, oh geez, I just touched the pink. Anyways, she's not pretty, but she does the job. I'm very excited to take her traveling next time because it will include all of that and a blush and bronzer. And so I think this definitely wins for my smallest palette. Question number 8 is my biggest palette, and wow, wouldn't you know, it's the Morphe Extremes Charles palette. She's clearly the biggest palette I have. Bulkiest, it would be the Conspiracy palette, but the biggest, which I think everybody in the whole world has answered, that a Morphe palette is their biggest palette. Question number 9 is palette with the best memory, and for that I have 2, but the main one that I picked for this is this guy right here from Urban Decay. This is the Beauty with an Edge palette. I honestly didn't know the name of the palette until I was writing down everything for this video because it's nowhere on the front. It is in the tiniest little font right there. But this guy, she's also very old and she has been with me through a whole lot. This was gifted to me on my 23rd birthday, I think, 22nd or 23rd, from Ashley, my best friend, and it was at a Harry Potter themed party I was having, and I was sat on the floor opening gifts on a Facebook live stream, and everybody was so excited when I got this, and I was doing swatches for people, so that already is an amazing memory with this palette. Is just like everybody was so lit for it, and I was so excited to have an Urban Decay palette. I couldn't believe that Ashley got me an Urban Decay palette. And then for the Christmas season that year, for my Christmas acting job, I took this guy with me and I used this green a whole bunch. I used that as my highlight like every single day. Well, okay, so none of these other colors really for the Christmas season, but I use this then daily as well. This would be like any accent color. This purple I use so much. This purple looks like it has a lot of digging in it. Ow. And same with this pink right here. I use that a whole lot. Back then I didn't appreciate like some of these shades, and now I'm looking at this and I'm like, Yes, so I want to play with this again, even though this is way expired. But so my good memory with it entirely is getting it for our birthday, it just being a really fun moment to receive it, and then bringing it to my job, and everybody was like so like beyond like, whoa, is that an Urban Decay palette? And they just wanted to know what it was. So that was really cool. And like I used this mirror for the whole time, the whole season. This was my go-to palette for travel. The other palette, just real quick, is also a gift from Ashley. This is from Makeup Revolution. This one is, it's one of their Reloaded in Visionary. And this guy has also, all my palettes look so rough, but that means they're loved. That one has a crack on the front, but this guy definitely has some dips in it. I will say, I don't really like their Reloaded formula, weirdly enough. This palette is good, and I have used it so much. But a lot of the shades are the same. And like this guy is not as exciting as you think it would be, and like the white's really sad. Like I really love the color story, and the reason she got it for me is because it's very Rapunzel, and I agree, and it is very me. But it's just the pigmentation is not all there, and oh geez. But I took this on a trip to Disney. I got it from, I think she gave it to me for Christmas or birthday, and then I took it on a trip to Disney other than using it every day. And like, so I just have this memory of being in my Disney resort, using this palette at the mirror, listening to Disney parades, getting ready to go to the parks. So that is a really good memory I have with this palette. Even though I don't really use it anymore, I still love her. Question number 10 is palette that is worth the hype, and absolutely hands down that would be all of the 9-pan palettes from ColourPop. Honestly, all of their eyeshadows, I've only had one other that wasn't a 9-pan, and that was a Zodiac palette, and I loved that thing so much that I had to throw it away because it was used so much. Not as much as the Stila one, and clearly I kept that, but all of the ColourPop 9-pans I have. Ooh, careful to pick it up from it was like the collection at Christmas time, the Dream Big, that has all these other ones. I find these I found myself using these almost every single day, or anytime I need a colorful eyeshadow. Well, I dropped them. Let's just ignore that this just happened, except they're all fine. They just all popped out. Which was, I was gonna bring up in a second that, wow, it feels so much lighter without all the shadows in there. I will say my one quip with these is that, like this guy you can see is kind of trying to pop out. For some reason, I guess I don't know, they just don't stay in there very well. Like I find every time I open those palettes, one is about to pop out. And if you drop them, guess what? They're gonna pop out. But luckily it landed on carpet, so nothing broke. Just gotta look up a picture of it so I can put them back in the right order. Anyways, but I think these guys are very much worth the hype. I think they're just so pigmented, and I love the like monochromatic color system. What am I trying to say? Like color theme thing that they did with all of the palettes. I love that idea, and they're only like $12, and if you wait till like Christmas time or wait till a big old sale, you can get them for like wait, no, they're like $9 or $8 or something like that. I love everything from ColourPop, but these palettes I think are very much worth the hype. Question number 11 is a palette that is not worth the hype, and unfortunately, that's this guy for me. This is from Storybook Cosmetics. This is the Robin Hood palette. She looks like this right here. She's some browns and greens and golds. I got this and I think my very first BoxyCharm, and she's just not the best. Now, I know there was a whole thing with this, that this was maybe not their original formula, like it was formulated to be a little bit cheaper because it's BoxyCharm so they could mass produce it. I don't know if that is the case and why I don't like this, so just know this is the BoxyCharm version, and that is why I do not like it. It's just, I don't know, it just doesn't perform very well. I played with it for a few times the first time I got it, and they're very, very powdery, which a lot of the time doesn't really bother me. Kick-Up doesn't really bother me, but these guys are like excessively powdery, and I don't know. It's just not my color story, really. That also doesn't help it, but the formulation in here just didn't live up to the hype, because Storybook Cosmetics is very, very expensive, and I really like the theming on their stuff, but maybe it's because it's from BoxyCharm. But this didn't live up to the hype for me. Question number 12 is a favorite palette from a favorite brand, and for me, already showed her, but this is the Ooh La La palette from ColourPop. This is my favorite palette from them. I said it, I think, in my favorite my like top palettes video, whatever I called it, and this guy right here takes the cake from ColourPop. I use her all the time. She has many dips in there, a lot of chunks missing from my fingers. I could use her every day and be happy. So this is my favorite palette from ColourPop for me. Number 13 is your most used palette, and we already answered that one. That is from Stila right here, the Body, Soul, whichever one it is. Here she is again in case you wanted to see the nightmare. I love her a lot. I love her a lot. And number 14, the very last question, is the most underrated palette. And for me, that's this guy right here from NYX. This is their Sugar Trip Squad palette. Again, I mentioned it in my favorite palettes video. She looks like this right here. She was from Christmas season 2017 or 2018. That was like when their whole line dropped for this. And I think she performs really, really well. I know a lot of people thought this was a miss, and I think it was a hit. I think you can create really pretty looks in it. The only downside for me is that there are a lot of shimmers of the colors that I would want to play with, like this blue. Actually, I can't tell. I think that blue is a matte, but this is a shimmery green, and this pink is really shimmery. So I wish this was like all mattes, because then I would have a lot of fun. Those two aren't like this one. No, this one performs well. You just have to build her up. This guy, not so much. But I mean, yeah, this palette isn't perfect, but I just think that a lot of people didn't give it a chance, I guess, or they just looked away from it and didn't want anything to do with it after they used it once. I think she's totally workable, and I really love her a lot, and I miss her. I wish she was still around other than right here in my hand. And with that, I think that completes the tag. Once again, I will have everything linked down below. I'll have all the palettes and all the questions if you'd like to answer them for yourselves. I'm gonna go reassemble my Blue Moon palette and the purple It's My Pleasure palette. It's okay, at least they were not broken. It's just popped out. I can completely handle that. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you liked my little insight on my palettes. I'm so excited I got to do this. I'm gonna edit this so soon to put it up for you guys. Yeah, so thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Subscribe if you want, and give this video a like. You can go check out my Instagram, which is Jenny the Beast. Yeah, and I will see you in the next video.